Hi, my name is Melissa Washington. I'm doing my research paper on Langston Hughes. He was one of the Harlem Renaissance's greatest writers. I chose this author because a lot of modern African American writers reference him in their works. I was not familiar with his works, but after doing a lot of research on him, I did find that he had a substantial amount. Langston Hughes was born James Mercer Langston Hughes on February 1st, 1902, in Joplin, Missouri. Langston's family was very prominent in the political arena while he was growing up. His maternal grandmother, Mary Langston, was the first black woman to graduate from Oberlin College, as is his grandfather was also a Underground Railroad conductor. He also had an uncle, John Mercer Langston, who in 1855 won the local election and was also the first black elected to public office in the United States. He also became the first black congressman elected in Virginia. Langston Hughes' father was also of higher status than most black people in that age. His father was a teacher and a lawyer. Langston Hughes was born of a mixed race heritage. Both his parents were of a mulatto descent, which is of 3 or more races, with African American being one of those races. They were Native American and European descent also. Langston Hughes didn't grow up as a rich child. His parents divorced at Langston Hughes' young age. His father fled the country and moved to Mexico because of his disdain with the way African Americans acted during that period. And his mother left the family, causing Langston Hughes to be raised by his grandmother. Langston Hughes yearned to be with his mother as he was growing up as a child, and finally was able to when he reached high school. He moved to Chicago to finish school there. After school, Langston Hughes moved to Mexico City to live with his father, in which their relationship was strained. But he was able to establish himself enough for his father to pay for him to attend Columbia University. Although he attended Columbia University, Langston Hughes dropped out after 1 year to pursue his poetry and further writings. After attending 1 year of school, this was right around the time of the Harlem Renaissance. This period is between the 1920s and early 1930s. This period was also called the New Negro Movement, where instead of the Negroes of that time being afraid and enslaved, they were embracing their heritage and embracing being free. This time was when we saw jazz come about and other art forms, including freehand writing. Harlem Renaissance also laid the groundwork for future black artists in all areas and genres. Langston Hughes was the first to use jazz rhyming scheme in his works in the form of ABAB. When he spoke his poetry, it had a rhyme in that if you were able to listen to it with music, it easily became into a song. Langston typically wrote about the disparages of a black man more than he did the disparages of a black person. He was not racist to his own kind. He was also not racist or prejudiced towards a white person. He just told what he saw. He may not have grown up in that way, but that's how he felt his audience should see. This became more affluent in his writings after Langston Hughes toured the world working as a shipman. He was able to travel to Africa, to Japan, other parts of Asia, and also other parts of Europe, including Paris. Through this time, he also noticed how, especially in Paris, France, the black people there were treated a lot differently than the way they were treated in the United States. This is when he came home and started his most prolific forms of work. One of the publications that he wrote about was a character named Jesse B. Simple. In most books today, you will find Simple written as Simple, because that's the way the character Jesse was, just a simple man. This publication was first written in the Chicago Defender, which was a black newspaper in the 1940s. It was typically based on the common black men in Harlem and what they went through on a day-to-day basis with society, with their job, and their household. JCB Simple was an ongoing series for Langston Hughes. It actually produced 4 different books and 1 best of novel. Some of the works that JCB Simple short stories included were Midsummer Madness, They Come and They Go, No Tea for Beaver, Sometimes I Wonder, Bones, Bombs, Chicken Necks. One of my personal favorites that after doing this research paper is Feet Live Their Own Life. Feet Live Their Own Life was basically a short story about a man who every day after work would come into the neighborhood bar or pub and have a drink. He wasn't there for any trouble. He was just there because he had a hard day. And other people coming up to him asking him, why does he look so down? And basically he just said, you look at my hands, you look at everything else, you can't see how I feel. Look at my feet and you can see how I feel. You can't feel the way I am until you actually look at my feet. I think this is prevalent for today also because we seem to think that if you work hard if you're in a suit and tie or a dress, business casual, but everybody looks down on a person that comes in with those work boots, come in with those dirty clothes after working a hard shift, a hard day, and think, well, they're at the bottom of the barrel, they don't matter. This was Jesse B. Simple. All he wanted to do was just live his life, do what he had to do to get things done. And Feet Live Their Own Life, he mentioned, you have to look at my feet. Everything I do is connected up with my past life. From Virginia to Joyce, from my wife Zarita, from my mother's milk to the glass of beer, everything is connected up. This is saying, look at me. What you see is what you get. This is the way I was when I was small, from the place where I was born, which would be Virginia, to his wife, Joyce. He still has not changed. To drinking a beer, to suckling on his mother's milk. He's always been the same person, hardworking. He doesn't ask for no trouble, and does not like when trouble comes around. This story pretty much sums up what the American black man was going through. At that point in time, right after the Great Depression, it was more or less, we need to find work, we need to get a family situated. So after all of the different publications, novels, and poetries that I've read or glanced through, that was actually my favorite. I can possibly go on and on about it, but we're stuck in a time. Continuing on. During his later years, he was able to travel to Russia, where he saw how the socialists worked and started comparing it to America again. He believed that as a society we can come together if we use some of their policies, but he wasn't saying that he was communist. He was just saying some of the communist ways would be good for America to abide by. At that time, during the late 50s and early 60s, the Black Power movement became relevant in society. There was no longer, look at that black man, he's dirt, he's at the bottom. It was then, let's find out, let's uplift ourselves, let's make ourselves better. Langston Hughes resumed his residence in Harlem until the day he died. He actually succumbed to cancer and died in 1967. Langston Hughes was a great writer. I've mentioned some of his literary works on this screen. Some of his novels and short stories are Not Without Laughter. Of course, a Simple series, including Simple Speaks His Mind, Simple Takes a Wife, and The Best of Simple. And one of his first novels, which is The Way of the White Folks. Some of his poetries and plays included Fine Clothes to the Jew, Mulebone, and The Wary Blues. I hope you enjoyed this small excerpt of Langston Hughes in his his Simple series. Thank you.